2017 to 2018 was the most pivotal year and moment of my life. The most challenging moments I've ever experienced in my life. Before I dive into the actual story, I want to preface to the audience and to those that are tuned in, it's in our darkest, scariest, worst moments where we experience our greatest growth and transformation. There is no growth without pain. I don't wish the pain that I experienced in this story I'm going to share upon you, but I do wish the transformation that has been instilled in my body, in my heart, and my energy. 2017 is when I graduated high school. And up until that point, for the first 18 years of my life, I had dedicated my time, energy, my parents' money into becoming a professional soccer player, going and playing D1. But somewhere along the way, my senior year of high school, spending time with the people that I was around, I slowly lost that passion. I became burnt out from the sport after dedicating, as I said, so much commitment that after our senior season that turned out phenomenal. I was all state top 20 players in Ohio. We set some new records. It was amazing. And I feel so grateful. But after that senior season ended, I started putting that same energy towards drinking, partying. I'm sure trying to get girls, right? This chase, this cat and mouse of doing what I thought was cool because my friends, my peers, my inner circle was doing it at that time. And of course, all of us, a lot of us experience this when we're in high school and we're transitioning to college. And so I had completely lost my identity. I completely lost who I was authentically. And so I started to do what everyone else was doing, including my college decision of going to the University of Cincinnati, which is the exact school that my brother went to. In fact, I picked the exact major that my brother picked because I did not know what I wanted. I did not know what I wanted to do with my life after my soccer career had ended. And so, and yeah, my brother majored in environmental science. That was something very authentic to him that brought him a lot of joy. It's funny how years later I love nature, I love mountains, I love hiking. Not as much animals can miss me with that, depending on how vicious they are. Had a crazy experience in Bali where I had a cobra den outside of my villa. Miss me with that shit every single time, bro. I got up out of there. But I go to the University of Cincinnati. I get there like a week before school actually starts. I meet my roommates. I build this incredible community of people. But I became the person that was known for having a good time. The person that was known for hosting the pregame. The person that was known for not going to class, to smoke some dabs, to get high, to drink. I joined the University of Cincinnati club team, and I feel like I was on a pathway of going and walking onto their team if I stayed with it. I was an excellent player, but I was so distracted. I was so disconnected from my truth. All the money that I gotten, from my parents, from my senior party or whatever, went towards buying food, buying alcohol, buying drugs, and I'm sure trying to impress women. And I remember my college roommates, which I'm grateful for them. They really tried to, one, they showed me an amazing experience. Each one of those guys are incredible human beings. I'm not sure exactly what they're up to, but I know they're doing something special in their world. But they specifically told me to a point, don't meet this guy that's selling Xanax. And of course, the rebellion in me was just off the deep end. I met the guy, bought the Xanax, and that later became a month-long addiction to the point where I forgot literally like 1 to 2 weeks of school. I remember coming home with my brother and him for fall break, and him telling me like, "Hey, you gotta cut this off. You gotta stop doing this. This is not leading you down a good path." But I was again too inundated with just this disconnection, this addiction, this cycle of constantly numbing, constantly partying, constantly trying to get approval, constantly trying to gain worthiness through being this party animal. Um, and so that led me down a slippery slope. I think at the end of my first semester back in, I don't know if it was 2017 or 2018, I had under a 2.0 GPA. I would have had to be back on this back to great plan with the school. I literally failed in all participation class. Like it was a shit show, and I was a kid that grew up with very strict parents, and I'm so grateful that they were, because the man that I am today is because of my parents' parenting, and they're literally incredible. Um, but it led to me, I guess, lashing out once I had that first sight of, wow, like there's no one telling me how I need to live every single day. I don't have a curfew. I can do whatever I want. That energy went towards the wrong things. And I'm so glad I got that out of my system at 17, 18, 19 years old, because the consequences of those actions after my first semester were it was extremely depressing, extremely disorienting, right? After my first semester, my parents saw my grades, and I remember my mom distinctly calling me down to the dinner table. And our house was in New Albany, Ohio at the time. That's where I grew up. Um, and my mom was like, "Did you see your grades?" And I was like, "No." But I could imagine they weren't phenomenal. Hence, I barely was going to class. And she was like, showed me the laptop, and I'm like, yikes. I'm like, all right, I'll have to get better. Next semester I'll have to start like actually focusing. And that was not the option that they gave me. Their mom said, "You're not going back to school. There's no way we pay this amount of money for you to go back to school and not even be going to class. Like, what were you doing?" They're furious, and rightfully so. It's an investment, you know, um, tens of fifteens of thousands of dollars to send me to college for me to go and squander my time. And they were fed up with me, and I was fed up with them. I'd built what I thought in my head was this incredible community of people, of friendships. And looking back, there were people that cared about me, that believed in me for sure. And it was really myself that led me to where I got. It was my actions. And of course, the environment and the people I was around. But that turned into a huge moment of depression, of unworthiness. I was coming down off of the drugs, the indulgence as well too. I didn't have a car. My parents weren't really allowing me to do things. I was basically grounded, and they gave me this ultimatum that they're like, "Hey, you need discipline. You struggle with discipline. Here's this Navy pamphlet. We think this is a good option for you." And I remember like seeing the pamphlet, and that was just like, fuck, dude. Like, I was like, I'm such a bad kid. Like, what am I doing? I've thrown my life away. Like, my peers are going to be steps ahead of me. And that's what my parents were telling me. And, you know, they did the best they could to handle that situation. My sister graduated from Princeton. My brother was at University of Cincinnati at the same time I was there. They both have graduated from college, so they didn't know how to handle and deal with this situation. I was the first of my kind, and I've been the first of my kind in so many different areas of my life, including the chapter I'm in now, and I will probably always be that. But I remember sharing with my friends, like, hey, like, this is what happened. This sucks. My parents think I need to go to the Navy. And I do remember a friend saying to me, like, hey, that doesn't seem like that's your path. I know you went through I know you're going through a tough chapter. I know something challenging is happening in your life, but this doesn't seem like you. And that led to this deep curiosity and moment of introspection of who the fuck is Remington Rodney? And how does he want to live in his life? Who am I becoming? Because this path right here that I was walking down with the drugs, the addiction, the friends, and the relationships that didn't serve me, this is not me. This is not the life that I want. I don't choose this. I'm not claiming this anymore. And so I remember at one point I literally was like so upset about the addiction to a Xanax that I was doing deep research on YouTube about just that topic in general that I almost wanted to become a lawyer. I almost wanted to become a DEA agent, right? All of this stuff was topping in my head because I was just so anti, like, how could you do this? How could you sabotage this opportunity that was in front of you? But again, our darkest moments are our greatest blessings. And I remember seeing some people that I grew up with, some that played on my high school soccer team, some that played on my club soccer team, that had stepped into entrepreneurship, specifically drop shipping, and the other one was doing video and photo for a clothing brand. And today they are, extremely successful and incredible people, but that was like a spark that I needed to see, like, these people aren't walking down the traditional path. They're creating their own path. They're doing something that is unique to them, and at that time, like 2017, 2018, everyone's going to college. Everyone's going into their second semester, sophomore year, junior year. And so I didn't realize that was an option. I didn't realize that was a potential path for me. And the clothing brand really stuck with me. I've always been so passionate about this futuristic, sci-fi, new world. Put yourself in 40 years down the line. What does that reality look like? What are people wearing? Right? I grew up on Star Wars. I grew up on Power Rangers. I grew up Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, right? These otherworldly environments of really what our future could potentially look like, right? And that led to me creating Vurtual. Vurtual was the clothing brand. And I took a lot of inspiration from Andrew McEwen and his brand McHugh. And I created this futuristic brand with a mission to maximize human potential for up and coming generations. And I wanted to express that with the clothing, but most importantly, the messaging. I reach out to my two closest friends at the time. I tell them the idea. I pitch it to them. They come back from college in the summer. We build it. We build it from scratch. We produce a clothing collection. And that started a whole new chapter for me of becoming obsessed with personal development, becoming obsessed with 1% better every single day, becoming obsessed with building community, inspiring community, taking action, putting myself out there, marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, all of it, which then led me to getting a job. I was a cook at a restaurant. Then I worked at UPS. I would get up at 3, 4 a.m. every single day, load trucks, which then led me to getting a job doing door-to-door sales, which then led me to getting a job selling luxury cars, right? This path of me basically losing what I thought was my only option of getting a college degree to survive, to create a good life for me, became the biggest blessing possible. Maybe I wasn't meant for the traditional path of the college degree. Maybe I was meant to pave my own way and choose something that was actually exciting. And in each of those periods of my life, even though the cooking and the UPS job, that shit sucked, the door-to-door sales job fucking sucked, but it built the discipline, it built the skills, it built the resilience, it built the courage. Meanwhile, I'm building this clothing brand, I'm marketing it, I'm going in person to sell the brand, I'm speaking at entrepreneurial events about my journey as a teenager. All of that has built up this courage to who I am today. And of course, I'm 27 now. You can imagine just how many things I've accomplished and done to be where I am today. But all of this, I say all of this because I turned a really bad situation in that moment of my life into one of the greatest blessings and wake up calls that I needed, right? And again, I don't wish you the addiction to the Xanax or the removal of college, the embarrassment, the shame, the unworthiness. I don't wish you that experience, but I do wish the transformation that you get to experience from it. Because the trajectory that I've created for myself, already the legacy that I've built at 27 years old, I am an example for my generation and future generations and my parents' generation that you can create your own path how you want it to be. Whose rules are you following? The rules that the government, that social media, that the United States, that your parents, that the education system has set? Just because that's the safe path, that's the safe option, that's what you think certainty is? Well, let me remind you that you can choose how you want to live. You can choose how you show up, how you express yourself, how you earn money. You can choose the type of partner that you want to attract, the relationships. You don't have to follow the brick road. You can go and choose the dirt path that my friend Grayson and Paige always talk about in their content. The dirt path can lead to some of the most pristine waters, the most pristine and rich experiences in nature and opportunities. But for me, this path, the dirt path, was forced. It was forced upon me because of the actions and the consequences that came from it. But I'm so glad that it did. Thank you, God, that this happened. Because look at the life that I've been able to create. I have the most special woman, Elise, in my life, the most amazing partner, incredible support from my parents, my siblings, my community, my friendships. Oh my God, I love you guys. My friends are incredible and they're all over the world in numbers. The business that I'm building, it is me at my core, and I'm learning what that means every single day. But I wake up every single day with the intention to help other people. I am in service by expressing myself, by showing them me, by sharing my pain, my challenges, my wisdom. My reel dropped today about the challenge that I've had with porn addiction. You better believe it's taken me decades to build that level of courage and confidence to even say that word online. But you know what? I know it's helping other men and women to overcome what they're moving through. By me taking that leap, by me raising my hand and being like, I'll be the leader. That shows you guys my life. That shows you guys the pain, the struggle that I've gone through to get to where I am today. And today, I can travel the world. I can build community around the world. I've DJ'd in 6 countries. I've been interviewed on 10, 15 plus podcasts. I've spoken on stages. I've hosted events around the globe. But most importantly, right, these are external things that I've achieved. Most importantly, guys, I've created a level of peace. I've created a level of authenticity. I know myself. I know Remington, Langston, Rodney. And I walk a path that is my truth. That is my essence. I choose it. Not social media, not my partner, not my parents, not the education system, not Donald Trump, not the fucking government. I choose this path. And so can you. So I want to invite you. My name is Remington Langston Rodney. I'm the founder and CEO of Oasis Global. We are on a movement to uplift humanity. We are the future of community and transformation. I have two pathways that you can take. One, you can join my online men's group where we meet every single Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time for 90 minutes, where I facilitate a breathwork and meditation and create a safe space for men around the globe to talk about their challenges, to talk about their wins, to share their wisdom, a safe space for them to move through the uncomfortable experiences and moments of their life. In the second path, for both men and women, if you are seeking one-on-one support, I've created the Portal Method, a 3-step process to take you from your current reality to the next stage of your life, the vision of your life, the desired outcome of your life, right? In 3 steps: regulate, slow down, ground yourself, step into a mindful state of peace and calmness. The second is introspection. Understand your blockages, understand your hurdles, your limiting beliefs across your money, your finances, your job, your career, your relationships, your health, and your environment. And then we talk about what is the vision? Where do you want to go with your life? And the last step is execution. Who do you need to become? Who do you need to become to turn that vision into a reality? I will drop the link to book a call with me in the comments section. Please like and subscribe. You guys are incredible. Thank you for following this journey. And I hope you guys really tuned into this story because it is my authentic, vulnerable story. And I hope it empowers you to choose your path and your destiny. Thank you guys. I love you. Peace.